miles away. She's so pretty, what more can I say? Got her own boat, got her own tackle and bait. She gets mad at me if I pick her up late, 'cause she's my Cajun casserole.
Hey everybody, David with Cajun Cooking in Colorado, coming to you with another cooking adventure today. So what we're gonna do is we are going to make Cajun Jambalaya. So after this video, you will understand what we're using, how we're doing it, why we're doing it, and then you will be able to take this video and go back and recreate this phenomenal dish. And yes, yours will be phenomenal as well. So you know what? Tie on your apron and let's get to cooking, y'all. Gotta get your apron on like I told you. Make sure you got your apron on. Just want to go down through some of the ingredients. Like I said, we got pork, cubed pork here, probably about 2 pounds worth, 2.5 pounds. We got a pound to a pound and a half of smoked sausage. If you can find fresh pork sausage in the whole link, get that. Cook it up in a whole link, and then after you brown it up and stuff, then you take it out and you slice it up sort of like we have here. That'll be phenomenal. Take your dish to another level. And then we have, of course, we got some blends here and spices we're going to be using. You can use whatever you want. You need a Cajun spice, at least a Cajun spice, so you can coat the pork and stuff. And then I also have this Cajun Trinity from Cajun 180, and I'll tell you what, this is a phenomenal product. If you have not tried it, reach out to me on Facebook. I got some sample packs. I'll send you some, and you can try it out, or you can go to Cajun 180 and order you some. So, but this is a phenomenal product. And then, of course, we have our veggies here. We got our peppers and our celery. We got our onions. We got our minced up garlic. We have some bacon drippings here, about 1/4 cup. And then, of course, we have some chicken stock that we will be using. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and get some fire going on this pot here. And you need to get this thing hot. So what you want to do is get it going hot. While you're warming your pot up, get you a bowl that you can go ahead and throw your pork into. We're going to go ahead and take the pork, put it into this bowl here. Dump it in, and we're going to try to do this camera work nice and fancy. I'm a one-man crew, so we'll try to get it done. But what you're going to take is take some of your Cajun 180 or Cajun Trinity, just put that on there. Remember, season it to your taste, how much you want, either a lot, a little. And then we got Cajun Gold here that we're throwing on here. You can throw on whatever other Cajun spice that you may have. Go ahead and throw that on. And then get this stuff mixed up nice and good. Okay. Still not all the way coated, so go ahead and throw a little bit more on there. We got this coated up now. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this to the side for a minute. We're going to take our bacon drippings here. We're going to put them into this. Now make sure you have a pot that is, one, going to be big enough, and two, is going to withstand the heat, because you got to cook this stuff at high temperatures. So you want to make sure that you got a good pot Get it warm. Pour in your bacon drippings. And then let's go ahead and wait for that to come up to temperature. Get it hot. You want it to be nice and hot when you throw your stuff in there. So while we're waiting for that to heat up, we'll talk a little bit more. So like I said, we have the celery diced up. We got green peppers, red peppers, yellow peppers. And everyone, well, why do you got all those different peppers? Well, one, I mean, it adds some color, as you can see, and two, the peppers have different levels of flavor to them. Like the green is the least ripe of all of the bell peppers, and so this is going to be the most bitter that you have. And then you got the yellow bell pepper there. That one's going to have more sweetness, a little more juice to it. And then you got red. Red is the most ripe, the ripest of all of the bell peppers. So this one's going to be, it's going to have the most moisture, and it's going to be the sweetest of all of them. So now you got these different flavor components, and then you got the celery that, boy, they're still trying to figure out what celery tastes like. But you know what? Celery sort of has a very bitter taste. But the thing is, when you mix it with all these other ingredients, your onions, your peppers, your garlic, it just enhances the flavors. They all work together and draw their flavors out and work together. And so what we're going to do during this whole process is we're going to go ahead and work on layering these flavors together, you know, to create us a good dish. So what we're going to do now, we're going to check the heat on our pot here, and the way you can do it is just take an onion, drop it in there. Here, you hear that thing sizzling away. So we're ready to go. Go ahead and throw your pork in here. Remember, this is hot. We want it nice and hot. And let's get this going. You're going to brown this stuff. You know, you're going to brown it a while. One of the things I forgot to run down on my ingredients list that you have to have jambalaya is rice. So we will use 2 cups of white long grain rice with this dish. But let's go ahead and get this going, get it all cooked up, you know, and we will we'll come back when we get this browned up a little bit and show you what the next step is.
She's my Cajun.
All right, everybody, we are still in the browning process, and as you can see, I'm not sure if you can really see it. Let me try to zoom you in a little bit, see if we can get in there. You can see this stuff sort of sticking to the pot, and you want that. And don't get to this level of brownness and say, okay, I'm done. No, you want this stuff dark, you know, a really, really dark brown, because that is where that is where the color of the rice comes from. You know, jambalaya has that brownish color. Well, that rice is gonna absorb it from all of this, you know, brownness on the meat and in the pot and everything else. So just keep going, be patient, get it nice and dark, and we will come back and check in on it in a few minutes. All right, y'all. Checking in here again. You see this stuff? You should smell the flavors over here. Well, we got this really going in here. You know, just make sure you're trying to scrape it off the pot. You know, you want that on there, but you don't want this stuff sticking to the bottom of the pot. But you definitely do want that that stuff that's, sorry about that. Camera skills aren't too hot, but we got this stuff like over here in this corner Yeah, as you can see, it's to the bottom of the pot, but still not dark enough. Keep going. Keep going. Be patient. Give it a stir every now and then. Let it sit in there. Let it get happy in all those spices. Bring together all the goodness that it's going to be when it enters into your mouth. All right, everybody, it's David again. Hey, I just want to recap sort of what we got going on so far. So what we have is we got our pork, our cubed up pork in this pot, and we're cooking it in the bacon drippings, and we're trying to get this to a nice dark brown, but we don't want it to look like it's burnt. So that's where we're at right now. We're still in the process of browning it. We'll come back here in a few minutes. We'll check it. We'll see where we're at, and we'll go on from there. All right, so we got this stuff going. Nice dark brown here. We're getting there. So, and you got a lot of that stuff sticking to the bottom now. You really want that, because that rice and the vegetables are going to suck that up and take it off the bottom of that pot and add flavor to them. So, and that's what we talked about when we're layering these flavors together. We're combining them all. We're making everything just blend together and just make magic. So what we're going to do now, because we got this in here and it's pretty dark, go ahead and grab your smoked sausage or whatever you got going on here. Dump it in there. And what you want to do is you just want to sort of stir fry this stuff for about 10 to 15 minutes and get this nice and brown, cooked up. Make sure that you're not burning anything in the process, and make sure you know the difference between a char, and a burn. Because you can get some of this stuff, it'll look like it's starting to burn, but there's a fine line between the char and when the stuff's actually burning. So you make sure you just keep going in here, dig this stuff up off the bottom of the pot. Get a good mixture going on. You can see this stuff. Ooh, man. And now you can smell this sausage adding another aroma to this dish, and that's just going to be another flavor element that we're adding in here. So, there are many ways to make a jambalaya. And I'm not going to sit here and say which way is the right way, which way is the wrong way. Everybody has their way. I just want to show you pretty much a traditional Cajun pork jambalaya dish here today. Alright, we're going to let this stir fry for a little bit, and then we will be back and move on to the next step in the process. Right, as you can see, we got this stuff going good, We got some of that crust coming off the bottom of the pot. I think we got this nice, we got a nice brown color going on to our pork. We got our smoked sausage in there that's browning up. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take your vegetables and put them in. So the first thing I do is I throw in my onions first, because the onions will really start breaking up the stuff on the bottom of the pan. So throw those in, start stirring them around. If you need to reduce your heat a little bit here, you do not want to scorch your veggies, so be very careful in this process. But you want to cook them till they're nice and sauteed, you know. So you got those onions in there and try to get that stuff off the bottom there. You know. And also, you know, we're going to be throwing in some liquid later, so that will also help to break this stuff off the bottom, and then the rice is gonna excuse me, the rice is also gonna get in there. So then what we have is we have our veggies, and I'm gonna go ahead and put in probably about, I don't know, about 2/3 of the celery and the peppers. You know, I like to leave a little bit back. You know, that way at the end you could throw it in, you know. And what you want to do is you're going to have these here, mince these up a little bit more, because you're going to want to throw these in right towards the end just to throw a little bit more freshness into this dish. So, and then garlic, I'm not going to put that in yet, because garlic will definitely burn, so we want to be careful. So when these things are almost sauteed, then we can go ahead and put our garlic into the dish. You know, and make sure we're coming along, we're scraping along the bottom of the pot, you know, getting this stuff off. You know, make sure nothing is sticking. Well, stir it back towards the middle. We want to get all this stuff combined together now. We got all these layers of flavor now working together in this pot. So, now one thing I'm going to tell you, because you're cooking at such high heat here, when you go to add your broth, make sure your broth is at room temperature or warmer. So if you just took it out of the refrigerator or something, warm it up before you put it in this pot, because I'll tell you what, this pot is so hot, you run the risk of popping this pot. And you really don't want to pop your cast iron pot. These things are amazing cooking vessels, but yeah, you need to be careful and don't just throw cold liquid in here when you got it at a pretty high heat. So you can see we got these all going in there. You want to cook these until these vegetables are pretty much caramelized. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get my garlic. I'm going to throw it in. Get that mixed in there. And there you go, just another layer of flavor. Oh man, I love garlic. Garlic is a wonderful, wonderful ingredient. It's actually good, you know, it has some proven health benefits too. So try to use garlic when you can. You don't want to sit around mincing up garlic. They sell this stuff in the store, already minced up in the jars. Yeah, but I used to hate mincing up garlic, and just about a week or so ago I watched a video online on how to do it, and it's easy, very easy. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and let these go a little bit longer, let these veggies sort of almost get to the caramelization point, and then we'll come back and move on to the next step.
Every time I tell the girl, see you later, look at me like a big alligator. Casserole.
Alright, everybody. Got this going. Got these veggies that are smelling amazing. They're starting to caramelize. So now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to pour in our chicken broth. You know, you can use whatever you want. If you want to use water, you know, that's perfectly fine. So that's going to start steaming here in a minute. Use about 4.5 cups of this stuff. Let's stir it in there, you know. And then what we want to do is we want to bring this to a boil. I just like using some sort of broth, you know, some sort of broth, because I think it has more flavor than just water. I mean, some people use just water because of, you know, the sodium content inside of chicken broth, which it can be high in some of the products. Try to get the reduced sodium version. Also, I saw that Campbell's has a chicken stock that is a reduced sodium, and it's like only, I think, 40 or 80 milligrams of sodium per serving, and the serving size is a cup. So I don't think you're going to sit there and drink a whole cup worth of that stuff. So I know it's cooking in, and you got a whole bunch of it cooking in, but it's an alternative. And speaking of sodium, this spice right here, this Cajun Gold from Cajun 180, this is a low sodium content product, and I'm not sure if you can really see it, but the 180 milligrams of sodium, when some of the other ones are up in the 300s, some of the other brands. And you look at all the other brands, and the first ingredient on these other ones is usually salt. This one, that's the last ingredient on here, and it's actually a sea salt. So, all right, so we have this stuff. It's boiling here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna reduce this and let it just simmer away for about 15 minutes. And we'll be back after that.
She gets mad at me. I pick her up late, 'cause she's my Cajun.
Okay, we got this simmering along. As you got it simmering, you know, make sure you're stirring it every now and then. Just stir it, scrape the bottom of that pot. You know, start getting that goodness off of there, because we want that to definitely absorb into that rice when we add the rice in here. So, and then what I do is, when there's about 5 minutes left on the simmer time, what we'll do is we will come back. We're going to throw in the rest of the veggies that we set aside, that we're going to mince up a little finer, and throw in some more seasoning, like Cajun Gold or whatever Cajun seasoning you're using, and some Trinity, whatever. Throw in more. Do not be afraid to over season it at this point, because the rice has not been added yet. So the rice is going to take some of that up for you as well. So, but this is where we're at right now. We'll be back in a short bit. We'll move on to the next. All right, everybody. So, hey, while we got this going on and while we're waiting, I want to tell you a little bit more about Cajun Gold. Most people, when you get a Cajun seasoning, what are the things that you think of that pops into your mind? First thing is probably heat. And the second thing is definitely salt, because you know, you taste some of these brands, and what happens is that heat hits your tongue, expands those taste buds, because heat makes things expand. So it expands those taste buds, and then you taste that salt. So the Cajun Gold, and the reason they got the 180, they do everything 180 out, you know. They don't have a lot of heat in this. They tested this on the market, and some of the people said it's too hot. You know, I don't want it. So they scaled it back. You know, and then they use the sea salt instead of the iodized salt. And the way I look at it is this, and you guys are going to think, what are you, a salesman for Cajun 180? No, I'm not. You know, I found a good product. I like it, and I'm going to tell people about it. You know, people can make their own decision on what they want to use. I got another spice company just sent me some other samples. I'm going to check them out. I'm going to give them a fair shake, you know, and if I like their product, I'll tell you as well. So, but I'm not going to come on here and I'm not going to bash anybody either. You know, you guys use what you use. I mean, I know a lot of people grow up, you know, they've been using certain brands their whole life, and that's what they're going to use. But I'll tell you what, you get a chance, taste these 180 products. You're going to love them. But anyway, the way I look at it is, if it's not hot enough for you, you got a couple options. One, you can throw some cayenne pepper into the dish, you know, bring up the heat a little bit. Or, you know, and this is what I do. If you want some more heat, take like a Louisiana hot sauce or something and use that and pour that in the dish and bring it up a little bit. And the reason I try to keep it mild here, because we got different levels of heat liking in this house. I like my food hot. I like it spicy. You know, my wife, my daughter, they're not really big into the spicy, and I got a 4-year-old granddaughter, so I'm not going to try to burn her mouth off, you know, in the process. So like I said, you know, add either some more, some cayenne pepper to the dish, you know, or, you know, put a jar of Louisiana hot sauce on the table and let everybody season things up the way they want. So, hey, we are almost to the point now where we're gonna come back over here now. Let me see if I can get my camera situated. Gee whiz. Oh, there we go. All right. You see, look at that nice dark. Let me see if I can get some of this, get it up here where you can really see it. You know, look at the darkness of that, you know, and that is what's going to make your rice, you know, that color. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do two things here. I minced up these veggies, you know, and I'm going to throw those in. And mix them in. That way you get some of this freshness of the veggies, because you know those veggies been in there cooking for, you know, almost a half an hour or so now. So they're gonna lose some of their flavor. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna put this in right before we're doing our rice, because that's gonna add some of that flavor or that profile to the rice. So get some of that freshness of those vegetables, and that's what you want, you know, just to kick that final taste up a little bit, you know. Then take your seasoning. So, like I said, do not be afraid to over season this, because you still have to add rice into this dish. So go ahead and add some more seasoning. Mix it up. And now we're going to let this continue to get happy in these juices right here for probably about another 5 minutes or so, and then we're going to come back. We're going to throw the rice in, and boy, we're almost done making jambalaya. Now, how hard has this been? You know, when I lived in Louisiana, I searched for a good jambalaya, and they were hard to make. Friend of ours, family friend, he probably made the best jambalaya I have ever tasted. And this stuff right here, this stuff, it comes pretty dang close to matching that stuff in flavor and in deliciousness. So I'll tell you what, you make this dish, you will impress some friends, trust me. And it's not hard. So give it a try. All right, we will be back here in a minute. Okay, everybody, we have now let this simmer for 15 minutes. So now what we're going to do, we are going to pour in the rice. Go ahead and get it mixed up in here. Stir it in. Stir that stuff in there. Bring this to a boil. And first you're going to be like, that doesn't look like enough rice. Remember everybody, as rice cooks, it's going to expand, it's going to absorb the water, and it's going to be a good mixture of rice and the other ingredients. So like I said, let's bring this to a boil really quick. So you got your rice sprinkled throughout there. The stuff will expand. It will suck down the liquids. There we are. Almost got this thing to a boil. This part's very important here. Cover it. Turn it down to low. Do not touch this thing for 15 minutes. Do not take that lid off. Ooh, I want to peek. See what's going. Do not do it. We're going to have to cook this rice 30 to 45 minutes. Every 15 minutes we're going to come in, we're going to stir it up, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. We're not just going to go in there like a maniac and stir it like that, you know. We're going to go in there and I'll show you how to do it, you know, to make sure you're not just beating the crud out of your rice in the process and turning it into mush. So go ahead and set your timer for 15 minutes and we will be back at that time. Alright everybody, it's been 15 minutes, so go ahead and move your lid there. Make sure that you use a hot pad, that thing's, and now you want to come in, you don't want to just stir, you want to sort of flip this stuff from the bottom and just get it mixed up a little bit. Sort of get it scraped up off the bottom a little bit. It might be, if it's sticking, don't scrape it too much because you don't want to burn it. And then you want to just keep this stuff cooking. Alright, so now if you want to take this dish to another level, go to the store, get yourself a loaf of Italian bread, and go ahead and cut it open like this, cut it in half, get some butter, soften your butter up so you can spread it. Just want this all over here, get it all over. Got that butter just slathered in there. I'm just going to make a garlic bread to go with this. So what I do now is, you know, just take some garlic powder, sprinkle it on again to your liking. Make sure you're using the powder and not the salt, or that stuff will choke you out when you go to eat it. So those granulated powders, not that bad. And you can add whatever you want to this bread. So, but then what you do is, you know, when you got maybe about, I don't know, when your rice is or when your jambalaya is done, And probably what you can do is you can just throw this in the oven for maybe 5 minutes or so. Throw it on a broil, let it broil, get this all mixed together, and then you got a nice garlic bread to go with the dish. And then throw together a salad or something else. So we got about maybe 10 more minutes. We got to go in to the jambalaya again, so we will come back
She's my
when we're at that. Another 15 minutes. So go ahead and just mix this up. Looks like there's a little bit more moisture in there, but that rice is expanding a little bit. As little moisture as there is in here. I'm just going to cover this thing up. I'm going to take my garlic bread. I'm going to go throw it in the oven now. And we'll let that broil for probably about 5 minutes so it gets nice golden brown and that butter melts down. And then we'll come back and we'll check on this again. Alright everybody, we got our jambalaya all finished up. The aroma on this stuff is amazing. You got your nice dark brown color of the jambalaya. That's how you want your jambalaya to look, you know. This, ladies and gentlemen, is your traditional Cajun pork jambalaya. I'm going to go ahead and plate it, and then I will come back and show you the final product. Alright everybody, here we go. We got our final plated product here. We got our Cajun jambalaya. We got our garlic bread. That I actually threw some Cajun Trinity on top of it as well. Because my wife came downstairs, she's like, what's on that bread? I said, garlic powder. She said, that's it. You didn't use any of the Trinity. So I threw it on there. I think she's more addicted to that stuff than I am. And then we got our green peas right there. So, just want to say, everybody, thanks for joining me on this cooking adventure. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get something out of this video. Everybody, stay safe. Have a happy Easter, and we will see you next time. Thank you.